done some building of the ship, as I would call it. Previous to my coming on as the communications manager at BOC, there was sort of haphazard sort of digital presence and planning for communications. So we've done some work to build the boat, as I would like to say, so that I can begin to steer it. So in looking at some of the things that I've built for BOC so far, I was excited when the Brooklyn director, Delia, asked me if I would join and do a presentation or workshop, sort of 101 on social media and branding, and just getting everything sort of up and running for a small business or an organization. Prior to coming to BOC, I worked for the Mike Bloomberg 2020 campaign as a communications director in the state of Alabama, where I currently live. And I've also worked on the national scale with the Miss America organization and their communications as far as digital and all outreach, basically PR, all of those things. So my knowledge is wide and in some instances not incredibly deep, but good to manage all of the different moving parts, if you will. So today is an introduction into how to brand your small business and how to move forward in a way that's cohesive in your digital presence. So let me get us to the next place. All right, so the first thing we want to talk about is sort of what is the purpose of social media? I think a lot of us engage with social media or are often online and look at what other brands do, but to really be in the nitty-gritty of what is the purpose of this, of course it's to build community, right? Also, Tenzin, I wanted to ask, are we recording currently?
Yes, we are.
Okay, perfect. So what is the purpose of this, right? Often a lot of people use social media to put out information, but it's so much more than that, and we should treat it as such. So we want to use our digital platforms as opportunities to build community around our brand, and then also to strengthen our current customer relationships. Like, you want to be able to engage with the people that you've already engaged with through your business, and then you want to bring people into the fold by creating a sense of community with them. So how do we do that? How do we accomplish that online? So first and foremost, we need to establish an audience. So we need to figure out who is your target market. You've already done that with your business plan. So how do we translate that to a digital platform? Then we want to make sure the brand is unified. Then we want to create what our voice and our persona is going to look like, determine our visual identity. Then we're going to create strategy around the things that we put out and the way that we communicate. Then we're going to create strategy around which platforms we use for what. Then we're going to manage that community. And of course, we want to be able to measure our results in the end. So the first thing we're doing, of course, is establishing our audience. So there are many ways to engage with people online. But first and foremost, we want to know, who are we talking to? So often I encourage brands and small businesses to figure out who their primary audience is. Who is the person you primarily need to reach? So if you own a dance studio and your main focus is 2-year-olds through 18-year-olds, well, your primary audience is going to be parents of children in those age groups, right? And then your secondary audience might be kids 14 to 18, and then your tertiary audience might be grandparents or other small businesses in the area that you might be able to partner with. So you just need to sit down and figure out, who are you primarily talking to and what do you want them to know about your business. So if you're primarily talking to parents of children in that age range 2 to 18 as a dance studio, you want to be talking to them about your community culture at your studio. What do you offer that differentiates you from other dance studios? How are you using dance to educate beyond just dance, right? So there's a couple of different buckets of information that you'd want to be getting to that parent so that they choose your business over others based on your digital presence, right? So figure out sort of who you need that primary audience to be and where do you need them to be located. So this is just a screenshot of my personal Instagram and where my audiences are. So because my audience is in New York, That's a byproduct of my having lived in New York for 8 years. So you will want to start engaging with brands that are in the immediate like circumference of where you want your audience to be. Where are you targeting people, right? So once you've determined your audience, you want to go ahead and unify your brand. Figure out what your audience is looking for, obviously, and then you want to make every one of your social and digital presence places be consistent. So you'll notice here, this is at the top left-hand side, this is our Facebook page. This down here on the bottom left is our website. So our website is, where we've put a lot of time and energy into the visual component of the Women's Business Center over the last couple of months. And so up here on the left-hand side of the Facebook, you'll see that this mirrors what our website looks like. This same thing goes for Twitter here in the left and LinkedIn. And then our Instagram, allows for a bit more visual variety, but it still maintains the same color scheme and things of that nature. So you want to make sure that everything is consistent, that it's building familiarity, that it's building trust, and that it's building recognition more than anything. I don't know how many times you've gone online and searched for, say you're on Twitter and you're searching for a business that is out there because you've been to their website, and you pull up their Twitter and their logo, their profile picture doesn't match anything that's online. Things like that. You want to make sure that all of this stays consistent at all times so that no matter which platform these people are on, they're able to recognize and go, oh, right, that's them. That's what their website looks like, right? So we want to build that consistency and familiarity with your audiences. Once you have had the opportunity to make sure that everything looks the same, that you've taken the time to update your profile pictures and your headers and the language that's across your platforms in the bios and things of that nature, it's time to really sit down and figure out, okay, you know who your audience is. Now you're ready to rock and roll online. So what do you want to sound like? What is the persona of your brand? There are some really great examples of brands who've taken on certain languages or slang. One of the ones that comes to mind right now is called, let me find it to make sure I don't incorrectly name their brand. I believe it is 305 Fitness. They're a fitness brand that's based out of New York City. They're very loud. Everything on their site says pops of color. It's very pop art. And the way that they sound is very casual and fun and flirty. And that fits their brand. So it's important to figure out what message are you trying to convey. Is your business one that is very serious? Do you need to do something to create a personality around that so that it's more engaging? Are you a business that is not very exciting, if you will? And so how do you bring people into the fold in your digital world so that they are intrigued by your brand and your persona, not so much necessarily whatever the service is that you provide, or vice versa, and bringing the dance studio back into the fold. You want your parents of the dance students that you're trying to reach to see you as professional and an educational institution or that nature. So you maybe have to find that balance. I say all of that to say this is a brand persona that I've done for, this is what we actually did for the Miss America organization when we were working on their brand persona. And Miss America is a nationally known brand. So what does Miss America sound like as a brand? And so we went, it was sort of like Chrissy Teigen. She's funny and flirty and witty and all of these things. And then here, Emma Gonzalez from March for Our Lives, she's, an activist and she has something to say. And we really felt like the sweet spot for the persona of a Miss America was very Reese Witherspoon, sort of not afraid to speak her mind, but definitely does it in a way that's respectful. And so think about some of those things as you think about what you want to say and how you want it to be perceived in the way that you speak on the internet. And then when you begin to develop your content, you'll want to think about it through that lens. What would the persona of my brand sound like? And that's often going to be a little bit different from you because you're not your business, right? These are two separate entities. So after you've determined your persona and figure out your voice, you want to talk about or look into your visual identity. So BOC Network women's business centers are obviously geared towards women, and playing off of the BOC Network colors into sort of more purples and pinks with teal highlights. We've created this very fun, vibrant, but also engaging visual presence online. So what you see here is a screenshot of our Instagram grid. And right now it is very graphic heavy because none of us are physically together with clients and things of that nature. So this grid will eventually evolve to include a bit more personalized photography, one-on-one activity as we're moving back into that phase. But for now, we've created a visual identity that very much complements the website. Again, you go to this page, you're going to know exactly what you're getting when you go there. And one of the things you'll notice is that we're trying to create some boundaries for when one thing comes across the page, people know what it is. So this particular, can you guys see my pointer? I hope so. I can't see many of your faces. So if you can see the pointer here, this particular square is our small business online workshop. And you'll see one that looks similar to it, although, reversed colors down here. So every single time we're hosting an online workshop, it will come in the form of this graphic. This graphic will not change. So anytime this comes across someone's feed, they'll immediately start to realize, oh, that's a workshop. And they'll begin to create an association with this particular graphic look. You can do similar things like that with your business and disperse those in among real life photos and action shots of what's happening so that people begin to realize what it is that they're looking at when they come. So you want consistency, of course. You want to use a varied approach to photos and graphics. And as I mentioned, since we just started these accounts, we're not having so much photography available to us, but that will evolve over time. And then you do want to try your best to stick to quality photos. One of the things that many of you, I'm sure, have are an iPhone or an Android of some sort, both with great camera capabilities and both perfectly great quality for using Instagram or Facebook or anything of that nature. One thing I would encourage you to do when you're taking photos, a lot of times people like to zoom in on a subject. And your phone actually decreases the quality of that photo when you zoom before you take the photo. So my thing that I like to encourage people to do is take photos and then go in and crop them closer to whatever the subject is that you were trying to capture. And that will keep the quality of the photo, but allow you to get closer. And so you don't lose that quality when you're posting online. So you'll want to make sure that the photos that you're posting really do enhance the visual of what you're looking at. And we get into sort of the meaning behind our platforms here in just a little bit, but it's important to think about, is this photo out of focus? Is it, granular? Those types of things really impact the way that your brand comes across, and quality is important when we're relaying the message of what it is that we do. So once we have those things in place, we want to start creating a strategy around content. So I have a calendar here as a visual, but what we want to do is think about, there are 3 or 4 buckets, if you will, buckets or categories of information that you want to expose your audience to. Once you have determined what those buckets are, you're going to want to stick to them. Right? So perhaps for the Women's Business Center, one of our buckets, of course, is our resources, which includes our workshops and resources to other business workshops that might be happening, etc. Then the next bucket of information might be what's happening from a policy or government standpoint that impacts small businesses. So that might be another bucket. So you see where I'm going. You want to have 3 or 4 buckets of information, and everything that you plan from a content perspective across your platforms should stick to those buckets of information. And that way you're not seeing something random come across a feed and someone doesn't understand why that's on your business or digital channels. So I think that part's really important. You want to stick to those categories. And then I would really sit down and think about, if you're operating your business alone, or you have just a couple of other hands with you, determining how much time can you dedicate to social content creation and and planning, because it is time consuming. One of the misconceptions I think about social media and digital media is that it's easy and that it's just, especially something that younger people, I would say people who've grown up using social, that it's just second nature and they can just do it and it doesn't take any time. Social posting can take a solid entire workday for a brand to plan content, not to mention shooting or creating or writing the copy that goes with it. So I would sit down and determine what your capacity is for this every week, and then figure out what's going to work best for you and your business, and set aside a chunk of time to really make this a priority in whatever time frame it is that you have. And then one of the easiest things to do is to create, or not create necessarily, but there are plenty of lists online of national holidays, national months, awareness months, National Friendship Day, all of those days are compiled in lists on the internet. So take some time each month to sit down with that list and go, okay, we're coming up on September. September is National Opioid Awareness Month, or Opioid Prevention Awareness Month, or whatever it's called. So that's one thing that you could, if it fits with your brand, highlight. If you're into National Coffee Day, or if you're just adding some personality to your feed, there are all these other fun days, right? So you sit down and you say, okay, September is here, this day, this day, this day. So now you have 4 days of easy peasy content to plan from. And then you fill in the gaps with your other things that you have. So it's a great way to sort of build consistency in your calendar. Of course, you want to build on holidays, and then you want to schedule these posts for the most part in order to have efficiency, which we all need when running a business, and then also just to be organized, to know exactly what's coming and when it's coming. And then, social media is also in the moment. So you have some planned content, and then you want to react in the moment to things that may happen. Say you are a business that is doing taxes, accounting, things of that nature, your CPA, and something happens with the government. Well, of course, you're going to want to hop online and join that conversation that day, but the rest of your content could be planned. So you want to create a sort of a balance, and you'll be able to create that balance when you know how much time you can dedicate to this. There are a lot of planning tools out there on the market. Many of them have pros and cons, and those pros and cons are going to be something that you kind of have to suss out for your own individual brand or the way that your brain works. But we're going to go through those in just a bit. So know that that's coming up. So once you have your voice and you've unified your platforms, you have determined the amount of time that you can dedicate to this, and you've built yourself some sort of calendar system, then you want to start creating a strategy around the platforms themselves. Each platform is used for different reasons, and while you can output information on any one of your social media platforms, it's important to really understand who's using the platforms and what for, so that you don't waste your time and energy doing something that's not going to reach the right people with the right platform. So how are we engaging our audiences in a way that's meaningful, and who's there on those pages? So we're going to start with Facebook, and this is likely something that many of you have and probably use on a daily basis, especially if the numbers don't lie. But it says, who is Facebook for? So there are 2.5 billion users around the world on this social media platform. 54% of them are female, and females are the most active users on Facebook. So think about that when engaging your audiences on your public page. That is one thing that I highly encourage. A lot of times, especially if you're not as familiar with Facebook, people tend to create an entirely new Facebook profile for their business. And that's where you're adding friends and having to confirm friend requests. And I would highly encourage you to actually start a public page, which you can do from your personal Facebook, and you don't have to personally show anything from your personal Facebook profile. So you create a public page, and then you can actually navigate several different public pages from your personal profile. And I can show you guys what that looks like here in just a bit when we sort of move away from the presentation and go online. I'll show you what that looks like as far as navigating to a public page, but I would encourage you all to do that. So while you're on Facebook, The average user is 18 to 34 years old, but the most active users are 50 plus. So I think that's really important to know. Young people have Facebook pages mostly because, and I feel like I fit in this category, mostly because one of two things. We're operating a public page, we're operating some sort of brand page, and we need a profile to do that. Or this is the way that we interact with some of our family members who might be a little bit older. For instance, this is how my grandparents keep up with me, and I don't find them on other social platforms. Even if they have them, they don't engage on them. So we want to be mindful of the fact that we're talking mostly to 50 plus females when navigating our Facebook public pages. And by talking to, we obviously know that men are there, but the women are the ones that are more likely to comment or engage with your posts. So when you're creating content, you want to keep all of that in mind, obviously. Facebook recommends, and other brand and marketing professionals recommend, that you keep Facebook short and sweet. Now, we often see more information output on Facebook because I think that the ability to read that is easier. But when talking about algorithms and making sure that your posts show up, they say less than 100 words is best. So it's something to keep in mind. Facebook is a great place, as you know, to ask questions. So often when we put information out, we don't really give anybody anything to engage with. So putting out content and then asking a question, will you be joining us? Comment below and let us know. Stuff like that. That's why you see that from users, is that they're encouraging you to engage with their post. And when you do engage with their post, the algorithm pushes their post to more people. So it's important, if you have friends that own businesses, start engaging with their posts so that they'll do the same for you, because it ultimately helps everyone when you do comment and like posts. It's gonna push things out to more people. And Facebook is a great place. You can post 1 or 2 times a day. That's gonna help you with engagement and help people see your posts come across their feed. Most brands operate in that space. So we're talking 7 to 14 posts on Facebook per week. Okay. Let's move on to LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has 675 million users, 57% are male, and then 24% of those users are millennials. So we're using LinkedIn, but not to the extent that other generational demographics are. So we want to use LinkedIn for, of course, professional networking, resources, and this is a big one. LinkedIn is really about thought leadership. So LinkedIn is where, if you have an opinion or recommendations for other business owners, brands, people who are doing similar work as you, this is where you really want to shine. Here's what we discovered in our business. This is a great tool for you to use, right? It's a much more collaborative space, and it allows for us to learn from one another in the business sense. So share your brilliant ideas. It's ripe with resources and thought leadership on how to make your industry better. So you want to join conversations and make connections. I am not an avid LinkedIn user on a personal scale. So one of the things I did to encourage myself to get on LinkedIn more is I have my notifications turned off for all other social platforms. I think we all know that we live in a world where that's just a lot most days, but I actually do have my LinkedIn notifications turned on so that I'm encouraged to use this platform more. And I think this is where a lot of businesses, and especially small businesses, could do better. So don't count LinkedIn out. It's a great place for you to really engage with other people and learn how to do better on your end as well. So keep your posts about businesses and growth. Again, ask questions. That's pretty much universal across the board. You're going to post once a day or once every other day. I think that the way that LinkedIn works, it is okay to be stagnant for a day. And then you of course want to go in and follow relevant pages. And LinkedIn works just like Facebook, and that you create a public facing page. And you can do that from your personal LinkedIn page. And I will walk you through how to do that as well. Twitter, 330 million users, 500 million tweets, per day, which is kind of crazy. And I think the big statistic here is 80% of Twitter users are affluent millennials. So knowing what your target audience is, how much sense does it make for you to build a huge following on Twitter? That's going to be up to what your business is. Twitter is in the moment, happening now. Planning content for Twitter is something that you can do to supplement ongoing and trending conversation. Twitter is a place that you kind of have to be, right? So Twitter is where you share meaningful news, but it's really a relationship building. It's about conversation. It's about, sharing quick tidbits, joining conversations, and engaging with other people on a regular basis. People are having multiple layered conversations on Twitter. And so it's a really great place to really get in and get involved with other people. So you want to ask questions, like I said, you want to be there multiple times a day. Even if you have to set a timer for yourself, hop on Twitter, see what's trending. Is it relevant to your business? How can you jump into that conversation and engage with those people? And then of course you want to follow and comment on relevant accounts so you increase your own exposure. And then Instagram, so our big four here, 1 billion users, 500 million daily users, 100 million photos are uploaded per day, and then 65% of users are under 34. So really taking the time to understand those target audiences and what do they want to see on what platforms. Instagram is a great example of that. Knowing that most people who are engaging on Instagram are under 34 helps us know how to better manage our visual identity, right? This right over here. So you're telling stories on Instagram, and you're sharing interesting perspectives. And it's important to know that there are two main uses for Instagram. Of course, there's the grid, which we're all, I think, used to. And it's important that I think a lot of times people post a photo to Instagram and they don't think about how it looks in the holistic view. And when you're on Instagram, us that are on a regular basis, we're looking at what does the grid look like. And people create, sort of visual identities that really make a cohesive look. It's not just one photo at a time, right? You want to make sure that everything looks nice. And then of course there's the story, which is this highlighted button up here. Stories are timely, behind the scenes, talking to the camera, interesting or relevant. And stories, sort of like Snapchat, they go away after 24 hours. So it's a great place if you have news to share or something that doesn't require a whole post, but you want to let people know about it, or something timely has happened that's relevant to your business, but you don't want a whole photo living on your Instagram grid about it. Stories are just a great place to share sort of up and coming now information. And it's a great place to share other businesses as well. So stories will be a great place for the Women's Business Center to share what our clients are doing. So we can share that information to our story. And that way on our grid, the visuals stay the same. And we really stick to what's going on at Women's Business Center. And then we can share what our clients are doing in our story so that we're keeping our clients engaged and keeping people up to date on what they're doing. So thinking about how to use both of those sides of Instagram is important. Stories also exist, as you all probably know, on Facebook, and that same thought process should really stay there. I don't think Facebook stories have taken off quite in the way that Facebook hoped that they would, but they own Instagram, so there's that. Okay, so now that we've gone through our 4 platforms, we want to understand how to better manage our community. But let's take a pause right here and take a moment to look through these platforms and some of the things that I mentioned. 1 second. So we'll start with, what did we start with? Facebook? Let me stop share for a second. Okay. Just going to walk through the process of creating I'm going to walk through the process really quick of creating a public page on Facebook. And so you guys are going to see my personal view from my personal Facebook page. 1 second. Okay. I'm going to share my screen again. There we go. All right. Okay, so this is my, when I log into Facebook, here's what I see, right? This is my personal account. So you can see that here. This is me. Here are some of the businesses and organizations that I have access to, some of my shortcuts. But up here in the right-hand corner, you have this little arrow that goes down, and it says Your Pages, see more. So these are all the pages that I currently have access to, I can edit and whatnot, right? So let's go to the Business Outreach Center Network. Actually, I'll pause there, I'm sorry. This is where you would go. So click this arrow, see more, or you could also do manage pages. Either one of those things works. When you get here, you may not have anything, presumably nothing. You go to create a page, right? Then you can determine what you need. So you're gonna hit business, and you're gonna name your page and your category. So this is how you would start a public page. So I'm gonna go back. So you can manage your, again, public page through here by just clicking simply there, and it's gonna take you to the back end of a public Facebook page. So that same principle works on LinkedIn as well. So we're here on LinkedIn. Can you guys see that? We're here on LinkedIn, and same thing. So this is my personal LinkedIn here. See, my pages are here, similar to Facebook. So I can click on Business Outreach Center Network, and now I'm looking at the public page of Business Outreach Center Network. So how do you create one of those? I'm gonna go back to my home page so that we all have a similar view. Me. Nope, just kidding. Nope. I said that, and now I'm like, where is it? Oh, here we go, I'm sorry. So right down here at the bottom, where you've clicked on this sort of little grid button, you create a public company page here in this bottom thing. You're gonna walk through a similar process as Facebook, right? And so those two platforms there, Twitter, Twitter allows you to explore, and this is what I was talking about by hopping on a couple of times a day and seeing what's going on around the world, what's trending, and figuring out if there's something that you can contribute to the conversation to get more eyeballs on your brand and your business. So I haven't been on Twitter in a little bit, so let's see. Bath and Body Works is trending. I wonder why. So it looks like something happened with this brand. I do not know. So maybe this is relevant to you and your company, and you can hop into the conversation and say something that allows people to see that you have some thought leadership, or you have an opinion as a brand, or that you have something else to offer. Any one of those things can allow you to do that. So there's a couple of ways to engage on Twitter if you're not familiar. Twitter seems to be one of the platforms that whenever I engage with coworkers or other people, Twitter seems to be a platform that is confusing, and I understand that. So on a homepage of Twitter, here you can edit your profile. So this is, this is our main homepage here, and we're building some following here recently. And so on Twitter, you can just straight tweet from here what's happening. You can add a photo, you can add a GIF, you can add a poll, you can add emojis, and you can also schedule your tweets straight from Twitter. So you can create something that will go out later, maybe today. What's today, the 13th? We can put something out at 6:30 p.m. this evening. So I can confirm that time, and then I can type what I want to go out at 6:30 and maybe add an image to it if I would like. So that's just a straight output tweet. And then of course, if you want to reply to something that someone else has tweeted, so We can reply to our own tweet if we'd like. This button here will allow you to reply to something that's already been said. Or if you want to share what's happening with a comment, maybe, you can, let's go here. We want to share this and add commentary. We would click on this button, the share button. You can either just straight retweet it with nothing, or you can retweet it with a comment. So it allows us to see both the initial post, and then we can say something here, right? And then you hit retweet. So lots of options for Twitter to engage. And again, you'll want to determine if that's something that works for you and your brand. And then Instagram has the capabilities of viewing online, but not actually posting online outside of using a planning platform like we discussed. So I'll show you some of those platforms in just a second. Let me pull back up the presentation and we'll get back to where we were. Okay. Cool. One second. All right. So once we're on all of our platforms, we have our public pages set up, we've got our visual identity, we have a plan for what we're going to say, and now we've started to say it. Now we have to manage it. So it's not enough, like I said at the beginning, to just put information out there. We really want to be wary of whether or not we're actually engaging with people who are coming to our pages and talking to us. So asking those questions, getting people's answers. If you say, what are you guys up to today? And you get a comment that, you know, someone actually responds to what you've asked, you want to go in and communicate with them. So if they comment, you want to write something back, engage them in conversation, make them feel welcome in the same way that you would if they walked in the doors of your business physically, right? It's not enough for them to just comment. If you never say anything back, they're not going to keep doing that. And you need that engagement and that community building in order for other people to have eyeballs on your digital channels, and also just to make them feel welcome and make them feel like you are a business that they want to do business with. Oops, let's go back. So of course, you want to follow and like and subscribe to brands that fit in your audiences. Then you want to go to those brands and leave comments, engage with what they're posting, let them see you. That's going to build your following, and it's going to let other eyeballs see what you have. So if you are, let's go back to the dance teacher. If you're a dance teacher and your following is very small, well, you want to find maybe some masterclass teachers, some nationally known teachers, and start engaging on their channels. Write a comment, let people see that you're there. They're going to naturally be interested in your studio and probably follow you too, right? So all of that community building is dependent upon whether or not you take the time at the beginning of building your following to do stuff like that, and then you keep it up when you have sort of a following there. And then, like I said, respond to every comment on every platform. Let people know that you are accessible. Then when you've done all of that, you can start to measure your growth. So you want to measure your audience growth on Instagram and Twitter. That looks like likes. And you want to know about your engagement. Or, you know, what are people engaging with? What are they seeing? How far is your post reaching? And you can view all of those things in different ways through the platforms. I'll go back really quickly at the end of this when we're back on the internet, and I'll show you where you can find your insights so you can see what your engagement looks like. And then one of the big things that I'm hoping that you guys will latch onto is some of these tools for success. Canva, Hootsuite, Buffer, and Planoly are 4 tools that help you plan content and create content. So Canva is actually a really great tool to make graphics and things. This presentation is coming from Canva, so it allows you to present. It will give you a pre-made presentation, and you can just go in and fill in the blanks, or you can change photos and colors. All of those things are pretty simple and easy to do. Hootsuite allows for social content planning. Hootsuite allows you to schedule posts well into the future for multiple online and digital channels. And you can like put it in a calendar view so you can see at what time of the day on each day you have things planned. Buffer allows you to do the same thing. And then Planoly it allows for Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest planning. A lot of people use it for Instagram solely because it allows you to put pictures on your grid and see what things are going to look like and things of that nature. So it really depends on what your needs are. I think most people operate pretty well on Hootsuite. And Hootsuite offers free planning for 2 social channels. And so if you are not super engaged on social, and this is something that you're just getting started with, Hootsuite's a great free tool to do that. I would recommend using Hootsuite for Facebook and Instagram, and then planning directly through Twitter because that's free as well. So those are some free options. And I'm going to skip ahead, and then I'm going to come back to Canva and show you guys a couple of things on Canva really quickly. 2 more tools that I have here for you are Linktree. So you'll notice on Instagram, there is the option for you to say, link in bio. And so you can't actually put a link in the copy of Instagram. You have to click on the bio and do the link from there. So this, top area right here, there is a option for a link. Well, it kind of stinks if you have to change the link every time you want people to click on a link, right? So Linktree is a great resource for that. Linktree, let's see. I guess I'll have to go back. Linktree, I was trying to click on it to show you, but I'll show you when we get back on the internet. Linktree allows you to have multiple links under one link. So they call it a Linktree. So for instance, if you have your business website and then there's a relevant article and then there's an RSVP to this event, all of these things can live in one space. And then another great tool for making graphics or building that sort of online visual presence is often, we don't have tools to choose specific colors. So you want something to match. This resource here, if you click through, takes you to an image color picker. So if you have an image that you're using and you want to match the colors in that image to put text over it or something like that, you can simply upload that image here and it will tell you the colors that are in the image, the color codes, and you can go and put those in whatever it is that you're using. So you have a really easy way to match colors online. So I'm going to stop share and I'm going to show you 3 of these resources really quickly. And then I want to be mindful of your time. This is the last part of the presentation before we'll take questions. So the first resource I'm going to show you is here is Canva, which is again where I said my presentation was coming from. So Canva here allows you to create and store designs or previous designs. So when you open up Canva, it's just canva.com. Canva is free up until a certain point. So there are certain images and certain graphics that you can't use if you don't pay for them. I personally think it is worth the investment for your brand to have Canva, but I'll let you make that decision, of course. This is just, it's made design and sharing information so easy. So as you'll see here, you have the opportunity to use presentation, marketing presentation, invitation, report, all of these things. So up here in the right-hand corner, you can click create a design. You can use custom dimensions if you have something that you're wanting to get printed, or you're looking to create something to send off to a printer or to add to a t-shirt, whatever it is. You can create a custom design here. For the purposes of today, let's go make an Instagram post. So they've really made this so simple for you by also providing a multitude of templates. So we have, let's see, let's click on something here, simple, right? So here's a pretty simple card or Instagram post, I guess, to send out someone's just got married. I like it, but I want to change the photo. So the way that you would do that is you're going to click here on the photo. I've hit delete. I'm going to go to elements. I'm going to add a photo background there. Let's see what photos we have in our store here. Let's see. I'd like this one here from BOC Awards. I'm going to drag and drop it in there. And while that's nice, now the color kind of seems off of this element here. So I click on it. You can change the color here. And see what I was talking about, adding colors. So say I wanted to figure out a color in a photo. I go to the photo picker, I do that. So now I can go in and just type in what that color is if I want to. So you can absolutely identify and match colors. But for the purposes of this, I'll just show you guys, you can move things along the color wheel here. Don't love that, but for the purposes of today, I can click on this text. I can change the color of the text if I'd like. I can also change the type of text that's there, and so on and so forth. So Canva is a really great tool to quickly and easily make graphics, share information, you know, edit photos minimally through filters and things like that. I mean, there's a lot of different tools here on Canva, and there's a lot of stock photos that you can use too. I guess I can show you that. This is really helpful, especially in a time during COVID where you're trying to convey messages, but you don't have the ability to actually take a photo. So say I wanted to search business setting. So I've searched business setting, and now here are a multitude of photos that I can use on my graphics. So lots of uses for Canva. It's a great tool. And like I said, it's free up until a certain point. I believe that the monthly charge is $22 or $23, and that gives you access, full access to everything there. And one more thing that Canva does that's new that I found interesting is it allows videos. So let's see, want a moving graphic on Instagram? There you go, easy peasy. So that's one of the tools that I wanted to show you. Linktree is the other. Can you still see my screen? New share. Let's go here. There we go. All right, so Linktree, we have it set up here where this is the link that is on top of our Instagram for the Women's Business Center. And it's as simple as you go in and you want to add a new link. So let's say I'm going to add a link to Canva, right? You just go in, add a link. With Linktree Pro, meaning if you want to pay for it, you can add a thumbnail there. And then you can turn it on or turn it off. Simple as that. And so now, anytime someone clicks on that link, your unique link on Instagram, it's going to take them to the resources that are there. So I'm going to delete that so we don't leave it up. And what was the other one I was going to show you guys? Oh, the image color picker. So let's take a look here. So if I wanted to figure out the colors in a photo, let me just choose something random. So I've gone here to this screenshot of our Instagram, and I want to know what this color is down here. I click on it, that selected color shows up, and now I have the color to use if I go back into Canva and want to create a design. So I can go in and add that color. Say we'll make that the background color. I'm going to hit new color, and now I've added, well, I say that, there we go. So I've just simply gone to the color picker, chosen a color, I copy it, and I can immediately add it into a Canva design. So those are just a couple of the tools and resources that are available through some free things that are happening online. And that's it for today's presentation. And I wanted to take a moment to maybe take some questions if you guys have any, or just let me know what you guys need from us.
Okay, I'm going to unmute everyone. If you have any background noise, please mute yourself.
Okay, I think, Monica, how are all the pages?
Oh, I'm sorry. How the other, I see that you navigate from one page to another, and how do they get connected? I'm assuming, I don't know. How you get from color pickers, so that page knows that that's the color, but that is in Canvas, and how you jump from that's.
I simply on my computer just have multiple tabs open. I'll share with you again. I'll share my whole desktop. So here on my computer, I just have all of these tabs open. So I was just clicking between one tab here to another tab here. So on your computer, when you open up your, whether it's Google Chrome or Safari, either one of these, you just go simply all the way to the end and click plus, and then you can open up a new website. So I have plus, let's say Facebook.
Plus.
And I go straight.
Oh, yeah.
So that, I don't know if you've ever seen the memes that say I have too many tabs open in my brain. So that's what they mean. I have too many tabs open on my computer. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I really appreciate the all the information. It was really good.
Good. Perfect.
Thank you.
I don't. I'm.
Matt, I have a question. So you mentioned. Thank you so much for the presentation. Super helpful. You mentioned using Hootsuite to post from Instagram to maybe Facebook, and so on my Instagram, there's like a button you can push so that it automatically pushes to Facebook. Is that almost like, so there's no need for me to use Hootsuite if I'm only using Instagram and Facebook for my business?
So the functionality of those things is different. What Delia is referring to is that on your Instagram, when you go to post something, let's see, I'll just pull it up. So you'll be able to see all the things I have. I'll have access to all of these accounts on my profile, right? There's a button here that says, I can slide these little things over and I can share directly to Facebook. I actually don't recommend that you cross share to any platform. So if you're posting on Instagram, I do not recommend that you click to post to Facebook as well. And I'll tell you why. So when you tag people on Instagram, that tag does not transfer to Facebook. And so in order to have the most impact, you want to tag the businesses that you're working with, the people in the photos, things of that nature. So what ends up happening is when you post on Instagram and you've tagged, say you tagged me at It's Mallory Hagan. When you post that to Facebook, now I just see a tag. I just see an @ symbol and that's it. It doesn't actually tag me on Facebook.
I see.
So you're going to want to post independently to different platforms. That's the first part of that. The second part is that on Instagram, you cannot plan. On Facebook, you can technically schedule a post and plan ahead, just like you can on Twitter, and that functionality is free. Some people just really enjoy seeing all three of those things in the same space. And so I'll pull up Hootsuite and show you guys what the platform looks like.
Visit nyc.gov/COVID-test to find a location near you.
Let me share with you. So I'm actually pulled up to one of our other partners, the Maspeth Industrial, but I will share. It just happened to be the one I was logged into. Okay. So this is what the sort of interface of Hootsuite looks like. This is all Facebook. And so you have I say that they just changed the look of it. So it might take me a minute. Hold on. So you can add social networks. You can add a stream. So right now we've got my posts, mentions, and you can add and delete these columns. But for the purposes of showing you the functionality of how you can plan something, right here on the left where it looks like you're going to create a post. So I can choose, all right, I'm going to post to Facebook, but I only want to post to Maspeth, not to Brooklyn, right?
Okay.
Enter the text. Text goes here. I can add a link. Or I can add a photo. Just for this purposes, we'll do this. And you can see what the post is going to look like on your Facebook page. Hey, I don't like the way this picture looks with that bottom row. I can edit photos from here, cropping and things that are simple.
Yep.
And then I can either schedule for later, which is the purpose that we're hitting here. So I want it to be at 8:10 p.m. done. I can either schedule and reuse this network, meaning like it'll just keep this post up here. I can save this draft, so you want to come back to it, or I can schedule it and I can duplicate it. So I can make another one and maybe schedule it again for next week at the same time if I need the same information to go out.
Got it. Okay.
So there's that, and then there's also, is this Twitter? So normally we don't pay for this particular Hootsuite at the moment. So maybe another brand, you could also click Twitter and Instagram. And if you're not tagging people or things like that, you can post to all three at the same time.
Okay.
So when you have all of your things, discard. When you have all of your things drafted, let's go to here. Oh, I told you here, maybe this is it. I was like, they told you they changed it on me. I literally today. So say you had these posts scheduled, you would see them show up as blocks, or you can post directly from this space. So I wanted to post at 1 o'clock tomorrow. It takes me back to that same thing.
Got it. Okay, cool.
So you have the ability to look at all of it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Can you go back to Canva and show us how to export the
Yes.
or the Instagram?
Great request. Yes. Let me pull Canva back up and share my screen. Okay. So I'm here on Canva. I've done all the fun stuff I want to do. Let's maybe just add some text for. So text buttons here. Boom. This is today's Canva post, right? Or today's Instagram post. So you go to download. Oh, I guess I'll show you one more thing just for fun. You can animate these. So click animate and you can, boom. All right, there we go. So this is today's post. We want to download it. This particular type of thing is a video, but say I don't want it to be a video. I just want it to be a standard, PNG or JPEG. You can choose which version you'd like for it to download and then download. And it should show up in your downloads on your computer. So this one's taking a moment, obviously. But yeah, so then you'll have the ability to post directly through Hootsuite here. You can post this directly onto Facebook, or if you want to post to Instagram and you're just going to use your phone, like just normal, you can just airdrop it to yourself or send it to yourself via email.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Of course. Anybody else?
More questions? Any more questions?
I think there were 2 questions in the chat. One question from Ruth is, do you have any classes or programs for new authors?
Any classes or programs for new authors? Is that a question for you, Delia?
I think so.
No. Oh, okay. I didn't even.
Yeah.
I looked at that myself.
No, not as of yet. But thanks for the thought, Ruth. Maybe you could shoot us an email afterwards and let us know a little bit more what you were referring to. And then Erica mentioned, I was told by some professionals my Instagram profile pic should be of me so people can associate a face with my brand. Others say I should use a logo. What are your thoughts?
My recommendation would be, unless you are your brand, i.e. if you're an individual and you're trying to build an individual brand, you're an actress, singer, dancer, something like that, that would make sense. If you're a company or a business and you employ other people and you want people to recognize your brand, the colors, things of that nature, my recommendation would be the logo.
Thank you. I'm into event planning. So you recommend to just keep the same logo throughout Facebook and Instagram?
Yeah, I would keep your logo as the profile picture, and maybe LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter in the headers. That's a good place to, maybe you create a graphic where you're in the graphic and your logo and sort of what you do. That's a good place, I think, to marry those two things so that when they click on the page itself, they see you in that header photo, maybe, you know, actively doing what it is that you do, planning, or at an event or something of that nature. One of the things also that, especially right now, I would just encourage everyone to be conscious of is the type of imagery you're sharing and how it relates to the world that we're living in. So for instance, right now, Erica, if you're planning an event, or if you're, you know, you're promoting your business, but your imagery doesn't, you know, look like events now look like, people in masks and things of that nature, you know, just being aware of that kind of stuff as you put out. But back to your question, I think the header photos are a great place to marry your face with the brand, but the profile photo itself, I think, is, you know, that's how you want people to recognize your logo. They think to call you when they need to plan the next event.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. It seems as though our questions have calmed down. We're gonna, of course, put this on our YouTube page where we are active there as well. I would be remiss if I did not ask that all of you go follow our new accounts for the Women's Business Center. Everything, and this is another element that's important, and this was something I should have mentioned when I talked about the brand, you know, unify your brand, that your @ handles and your facebook.com/, if you can, making sure that they're all the same is a really great way to create even more identity and just continuity across your channels. So everything for BOC is at BOC_WBC, with the exception of LinkedIn, because you cannot underscore on LinkedIn. So it's BOC-WBC. So those all look the same across Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and then of course LinkedIn is the dash. And we also have a YouTube channel just for BOC Network as a whole, where there's a playlist for WBC. So if you want to see any of the other resources, our YouTube page is up and running, and we are adding resources on a regular basis. So we'd appreciate the follow as we build our nascent accounts, and we will return the favor when you guys let us know that you're up and running as well.
Thank you, Mallory.
Yeah.
Thank you for the great presentation. Also, thank you, Ms. Elaine. We'll end the presentation here. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Bye, thank you.